Just because I almost lose it here doesn't mean I'm not going to use it again. I just am very careful next time I use it. Alright, now. So here, one piece is ending. The other one is coming in, but we haven't played it technically yet because the fader isn't up. So technically we've played it, but the volume isn't up, so we can't hear the piece. So we're adding in some great sort of beat jumps, stuff like that, which I love using. Adding in a reverse, which is another cool technique, but you gotta be careful with it. Here we go. Okay, now it ends, and then if you've timed it well, depending on the 16 bars, 24 bars, etc., you can bring in the next track perfectly near the completion. It doesn't have to be exactly as the piece, the current piece is finishing, but around about where you want it. All I've done here is add a nice effect that I have chosen, and I bring in the fader for the next piece, and it just helps blend in a little bit better. I find that when you blend in a fresh new song without any effects, sometimes it can be a little bit raw, and if you haven't rehearsed this particular performance, you don't necessarily know if it is going to be slightly awkward without anything. So it's always best just add a little bit of texture underneath to help smooth things around. Again, what you'll notice is that right now we are just adjusting, and we're adjusting the volume as well. Sorry, the low end. I've cut out the low end just to make sure we can bring in the piece, and then we bring in back the low end. So let's watch that one more time. Here we go. A little bit back. Cool, now notice I stand correctly. We're still adjusting the effects. The low end that I've cut out so we can bring in the piece is still out. If you listen carefully, you can notice that the low end is completely cut out. Not completely, but it's not 100% there. So you can hear the middle, you can hear the high notes, you can hear a lot of the treble. Now, like I mentioned before, the reverse is a very good effect, but it can be very dangerous. Now you notice here, the low end is much lower. We've cut a lot of it out. So using the reverse is a great opportunity here, because using the reverse with a lot of low end can get funky. So it can get weird. It can get weird for the subs, it can get weird for the sound system, because you're reversing everything. So cutting out a good amount of the low end, you can use the reverse effect a lot better. And that's what we're doing. But you'll notice here, we almost lose it. We almost lose it, but we managed to keep it together. Just there. So, like I said, it's really challenging effect to use, because you can get carried away with it. You are reversing, then you bring it back in, reversing, bringing it back in. And if you go too far, and you can really screw things up. So you have to be very careful with it, but it's a cool effect. And I'm not gonna try and hide, like, oh yeah, no. This is the approach that you have to take if you want to improve yourself and you want to experiment with the different effects. Don't be scared of the effects. Learn the effects. Experiment with them, and each time you do it, you'll get better and better and better. Just because I almost lose it here doesn't mean I'm not going to use it again. I just am very careful next time I use it. Now, if you notice something, if you're very clever in this moment, the low end is back in. So, let's see if you caught that whole thing. Switch one more time. Here we go. Adjusting, adding effect, bringing in the next track. Here we go. Low end is still out. Now, playing with reverse. There you go. Now, I'm gonna leave it to you to figure out when exactly that low end came back in. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. Let's move on.